Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about percents today. What we deal with here is not too bad as long as you remember a few things. So let's do those. Hopefully you've seen it before, but maybe you haven't. So let's make sure we're all on the same page here. Well, when you see the word of, that means to multiply. That means times. And times is shorter than multiply. So I like to say that is, when you see the word is, that means equal to. If something is something else, they are the same. They are equal. And also, I'm going to do a couple examples here when it comes to the numbers. If I tell you something is 32%, what you do, you have a decimal point there, and you move it two places. 1, 2. 1, 2 times, and that is 0.32. So when I'm talking about 32% as a decimal or as a plain number, that's 0.32. I'm going to do a couple more of these. So if I have 7%, and I take the decimal point and I move it 1, 2 times, 1, 2 times, well, there's a blank there, so that's going to be 0.07. Okay, 1, 2 times, 0.07. I could have something really small like 0.02%. Okay, and again, always move the decimal point 2 times. 1, 2. There we go. It's right there. So decimal point, 1, 2, 3 spots for zeros. Okay, these zeros are just placeholders. Zeros don't mean anything here except for a placeholder. All the zeros here is they tell you how much that 2 is worth. That's it. That's their only purpose, but it's a good purpose. So in all these cases, you're making percent into a decimal, this is what you need to do. And if you're making a decimal to a percent, you do the opposite. And basically what this means, percent, it's kind of like dollars and cents. Like if you see something like 7 cents, well, that is this many dollars. If you see 32 cents, that is this many dollars. And when you think about it that way, that makes sense. So all that percent means, it means you have a count of 100. And so this is kind of weird. If you have 0.02 cents, you have $0.0002, which is true, but we don't deal with fractions of money like that usually, maybe only in finance or something like that. You'd want to carry out the decimal that far. Yeah. Cool. So just wanted to talk about that for a minute. So let's see here. I want to ask you a couple questions. The first, 40 is what percent of 200? 40 is what percent of 200? Whoops, where am I at here? Beautiful. 40 is what percent of 200? I went off the page, that's all right. 40 is what percent of 200? Okay, so to answer this question, I'm just going to kind of go through the sentence and write it out using some algebra. Okay, so I have 40. 40 is means equals. Okay, this whole phrase, what percent, that's going to be my variable. Because it's a percent, I'm going to call it P. You can really call it anything you want. You can call it Q, you can call it awesomeness or whatever. But P is good because that'll remind me that that's a percent. If I just use an X, I might forget later that I want a percent. Of means times, and 200 means 200. So I could actually tighten this up a little bit. I could say 40 equals 200p. Okay, I could say that. Now, to solve for p, well, I have to divide by the number in front of p. So divide by 200 on both sides. Let me see. I want to do this in my head. That's going to be 0.2, right? Yes. 0.2 equals p. Okay? Now, once I'm at this point, the problem says what percent? So I have to make this number here into a percent. So I need to move the decimal point 2 times. So let me rewrite it here. I need to move the decimal point 2 times. 1, 2 times. And so that's going to be 20%. Basically, if you had $0.2, how many cents would you have? You'd have 20 cents because it'd be 0.20. We always have 2 decimal places when we're talking about money. Okay, so 40 is what percent of 200? Well, 40 is 20% of 200. 40 is 20% of 200. So that's how you solve that using some math. You might have had a teacher before use proportions to solve problems like these, but I think that method is lame, stupid, lengthy, and dumb. My humble opinion. So let's try a couple of these. Okay, I'm going to give you a couple try-its here, and let me see how you do. And hopefully I'll be able to shut up and you'll get some work done. So let's see. Try it. The first one will be 5% of what number is 100. So 5% of what number is 100? 5% of what number is 100? Question mark. And 30 is 25% of what? 30 is 25% of what? Okay, and neither of these problems ask for a percent. They both ask for a number. So you have to convert these percents into decimals. That'll be 0.05. That'll be 0.25. But after that, the answer you get at the end will just be your answer. So that'll be awesome and good. Go ahead and try these two.